Okay, let's look at peg word creation, right? So when we create peg words, we're creating images for a set of either numbers or cards or something that's essentially a placeholder for something that needs to be memorized. So for example, if we have the number 17, that could be a dog, ace of clubs could be a cat, and so on. Now, the problem with this, it's not necessarily a problem, it's more of a challenge, is that when you create an image, especially if you're using a system like, for example, the Ben system, where, for those that don't know, Ben Pridmore is a memory athlete, created this system where if you combine two cards together, it gives you one image, right? So the challenge there is creating, 2,700 odd images, unique images for every card. So 52 by 52, right? Which gives 2,704. So when we're memorizing, you could have, for example, ace of clubs and seven of diamonds, which could just give you a dog, for example. The benefit of that is now you're halving everything to remember. So it's actually a lot easier, right? The challenge there, if when you're going through two cards, you're creating one image. However, when you're recalling from one card, right? Let's take a look, right? So for example, you've got seven of diamonds, let's say eight of clubs. Well, I'm not going to draw the pictures. Seven of diamonds, eight of clubs. I'm not going to go through the process of creating images and on. I'm just going to talk about the challenges. Here's one image. You memorized it. It's all in one image, right? Let's say that's a dog, right? For argument's sake. When we're going to recall, what happens is that you would recall from two cards, right? When we're going through the recall phase, we're presented with either another deck or on screen or something like that. And then the first card comes up and then the second card comes up. So what happens there? The challenge is that because the first card comes up, right, we know where it's associated to, but it's just the first card. It's not the second card together. So what happens is that you don't get the image straight away, right? You only get the first part of the image. Why is this important to note? Because when you're memorizing as a whole. You're not memorizing in part, right? If you are memorizing in part, good work. You're helping out your recall as well. But because you're memorizing individually, recall is going to have to be from one card. So whether it's from the first part here or whether that comes first and that comes second, depends on what sort of system you're using. So if the first card comes up, what you can do is you can sort of prime yourself for the next card. So these are just little exercises you can do. It's not exactly a solution. The best solution will come when you try out a whole heap of them and one of them works. That's what I do in my memory coaching is when I work with people, I don't just say, look, do it this way. This is the best method. No, I give a whole bunch of solutions and then from those solutions, people try out. In this case, what I would recommend you try if you're going through this method. If you're not, there's only a very small number of people doing this, but the reason why I'm explaining it for those that don't even go through all of this is that when we're memorizing, we generally create an image as a whole, but when we're recalling, we can recall in bits and pieces. In everyday life, if you look at it, when we're trying to remember recall, we're trying to retrace our steps, for example. That's part recall, right? Look at this as part recall. You're remembering part of the image, not the whole thing. How do we work on our recall for part bits? So the trick here is that understanding that, okay, seven of diamonds, that could be obviously connected to so many other cards, but how are we going to get an image straight away connected to eight of clubs, right? So we need to be able to understand that if we're getting this image first, we need to be able to visualize it in all its glory. What happens is that you tend to not forget, but you tend to make this a lot weaker than both of these images, right? So for example, seven of diamonds could represent, some sort of a color or whatever it is. And as soon as this hits, color and this equals a dog. If that's the kind of system you're working on. There's other systems where you don't have an image for seven of diamonds until you hit eight of clubs. That's a dangerous system, right? Because it's better having some sort of an image so that it prepares you once you've got this image, right? So what do I mean by that? For example, if this seven of diamonds was the letter TA, for example, and this was NSEL. So we know that if this comes up, our brain, before this comes up, by the way, then we know, the word starting with TA. And then this comes up, it's cancelled. So you get the full image there. However, if there's no image there, if it's ... and then this comes up and that says dog, for example, it's only completed once we have both those cards, then that doesn't give you much time essentially to memorize these both, because you're skipping an opportunity here to frame your mind. You need to be able to create something so that you can create a holistic picture and not just a picture when you get here. Not only works with the 2-image system, but even single images as well, because when people say memorize something like words, what happens is that you might look at the first word, say it might be necessary, and the second word might be context. That's a difficult 2 words to memorize, but you might look at necessary and go, you know what, I'll see what context that's in. Context, right? Bad example, but I'm just giving you some words, all right? So when you look at context, then that's when you sort of understand that, oh, now I get the story behind context because there's necessary there. Instead of saying, let's look at the context behind necessary and then connect that to context. A tricky little training challenge, I guess, for people is to how do you create that one image from here so that it connects to the other one. So like I said, it doesn't have to be cards. You can do this with random words, you can do it with random numbers and so on. But the whole idea, hopefully you've picked up, is that instead of trying to memorize whole images, try to remember part images or memorize part images so they can connect to whole images. So that's the whole idea. Hopefully that's made sense. If it hasn't, please comment down below. I'm going to be making more of these strategic memorization type videos. This is the stuff that I love. I love strategy. So if you've got any more questions around that area, please comment down below. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.